Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today I'll be reviewing The Legend of Zelda, the Minish and Phantom Hourglass Manga, which was released back in 2017 and made by Akira Hirakawa. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not too sure. But Akira created this manga, which is based on The Legend of Zelda, Phantom Hourglass and Minish Cap. And the manga basically shows you the story of both Phantom Hourglass and the Minish Cap. Now, this is really an interesting read, because it basically shows you the events of both the Minish Cap and Phantom Hourglass, but there are some minor changes to the story. So, for example, when you read Phantom Hourglass, there's a moment towards like the end of the story in which Bellum takes over Linebeck's body, and then you see him like at the end of the Temple of the Ocean King, where you originally fight Bellum before he takes over Linebeck's body. I feel like that's a really interesting way to tell the story, because it's basically you don't see something like that in the original game, because in the original Phantom Hourglass you just fight Bellum in the Temple of the Ocean King with his main body, then you fight him on a ghost ship where you fight Bellum back. And I feel like it's really interesting because I really like the illustrations and like everything that's in the manga. Even in the beginning of the manga, you can see that like the first few pages are like colorized, and I think that's really cool because it shows you how the story is going to looks like, and then when you go into like the black and white pages, it looks interesting and cool, and it kind of gives me that vibe when in Hyrule Historia, when you get to read the Skyward Sword manga that you can read at the end of Hyrule Historia, that basically tells the events before the events of Skyward Sword happens, and I think that's really cool and interesting. And one of my favourite moments, if I can find the exact page that I've been reading on, is when Link goes to Cannon Island, and in the game you have to use the microphone to yell that you want a cannon. They've done it similarly in the manga, but it's like this. This is basically what the page looks like when Link yells for the cannon, and it's really quite funny because it's like you've got Linebeck and you've got Celia. They're kind of being thrown away from the island. That kind of what looks like on the page, I think. And yeah, and I think these stories are really interesting, like how both links from these two adventures go on their two different journeys. Like with Link in Phantom Hourglass, he's going on a journey to save Tetra and save the whole world from Bellum, whilst in the Minish Cap, it's basically Link's journey to basically reforge the Picori blade and basically defeat Vati. And there are some elements from different games like that you see in this manga, for example, with the King of Hyrule kind of looking like the one from the Wind Waker, and I think that's quite cool. We can see how these two games, all the manga uses characters from previous games and stuff like that, and I think this gives more personalities to the characters, because you see characters like the King, Linebeck, and various other characters, and they give them, and the manga gives those characters more personality and basically fleshes them more out a bit. And I'm not saying that wasn't shown in the Minish Cap or Phantom Hourglass. I just think this shows us a bit more depth to those characters, and I feel like that the manga is really interesting and quite worth a read, because it shows different sides to two different characters, several characters that you might have not known, and yeah, and I think it's really interesting. So my final verdict for the manga is that I think it's worth the read. I feel like it's interesting, from start to finish, and it shows us different kind of perspectives than we have seen in both the Minish Cap and Phantom Hourglass games. I really suggest that people should go and buy this manga and just have a read for themselves and see what they think. So yeah, so that's been my review for the Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass and Minish Cap manga. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.